Hello everyone, so this is a lecture on the chapter motion in one dimension. So firstly let's understand rest and motion. So when you call a body to be at rest, when it does not change its position with respect to the surroundings. Say a building is at rest, right? A tree is at rest. Now, when do you call a body to be in motion? When it changes its position with respect to the surrounding. Now, a speeding car is an example of a motion, of a body in motion. All right. So, one dimension motion. Since this chapter is about one dimension motion, so let's see what is one dimension motion. So, you see, in any situation, you have three coordinates x, y, z. All right. So, in three dimension space, what we call as x, y, z, right? So if all the three coordinates changes while a body moves, then you call the motion is three dimension. If say the example can be a flying bird, okay, then if two dimensions only changes, like x and y coordinate changes, z do not change, and ant crawling on a tabletop, that is an example of a two dimension motion, and an ant walking on a long cable or a long wire, that is an example of one dimension motion, where only one coordinate out of the three coordinate is changing. Okay, next, frame of reference. Now whenever you define this motion, rest or motion, you need a frame of reference, a set of coordinate systems. Okay, so that coordinate system, you actually define the body to be at rest or to be in motion with respect to that frame or with respect to the set of coordinates. That is what you call as frame of reference. All right, coming to displacement. Displacement is a vector quantity and distance is a scalar quantity, right? Now vector quantity has magnitude as well as direction, and scalar has magnitude only, they do not have direction. So distance is a scalar quantity. Now it is the total path length, okay, total length of the path traveled, total path length you call as distance traveled. So whenever you move or when you travel from one place to another, you are the actual path traveled, that is what you call as distance. But when you talk about displacement, we are talking about the shortest distance between the initial position and the final position. So basically between 2 points, like you have 2 points here, say this is the road, then this will be the distance, but the displacement will be this, always this. Now this can also be the distance, this can also be the distance, okay, but the displacement is this is straight line. Okay, so displacement is a vector quantity, and yeah, it can be positive, negative and zero, and distance cannot be negative. Okay, it can be zero and positive. As I said you, that vector quantity can be negative, and negative represents direction. When you put negative, it represents opposite direction, as in the case of positive. Okay, now we come to speed. Speed is total distance divided by time taken, v equal to s by t, we write down. Okay, as we represent distance by s, so total distance by time taken, that is what you call as speed. It's a scalar quantity. Uniform speed, what situation you call as uniform speed? When you cover equal distance in equal intervals of time. All right, now practical situations, in practical situations, uniform speed cannot be maintained for a longer period of time. It can be maintained maybe for 5-10 minutes. All right, so uniform speed is like equal distance covered in equal intervals of time. Now what do you call as variable speed? When you cover equal distance in unequal intervals of time or unequal distance in equal interval of time. Okay, either way you call it as variable speed. Now in case of variable speed, we calculate average speed. Okay, because in practical situations, sometimes you stop the vehicle, sometimes you speed up, sometimes you slow down. Okay, so that will be a variable speed situation. Okay, so in that situations we calculate average speed. So average speed is total distance divided by total time taken. Okay, now we come to instantaneous speed. As the name suggests, instantaneous speed is speed at a given instant. Okay, so whenever a body moves with variable speed, it has different speeds at different instants of time. All right, so speedometer of the car is an indicator of instantaneous speed, always know that. So now we come to the relation for average speed. So let's do some mathematics. Now here you can see in the diagram, a body is covering these three distances, or you say the entire length OC, okay, with speed v1, v2 and v3 for distances s1, this is s1, s2 and s3, right? Time is not given directly. So in that situation, how do you calculate the average speed? Okay, so average speed in this situation will be v equals to s1 plus s2 plus s3. This is your total distance covered, right? Now since time is not given, time equal to distance by speed you can do, right? So s1 by v1 plus s2 by v2 plus s3 by v3. So this is your relation for average speed. Okay, now if you have a special situation here that s1, s2 and s3, these all distances are equal, s1 equal to s2 equal to s3, and you write down that as s, right? In that case, v bar, the average speed, because we write down average speed is v bar. Okay, so average speed equals to 3 v1 v2 v1 v2 v3 divided by v1 v2 plus v2 v3 plus v3 v1. Okay, number b. Now say we actually applied this special situation exactly in this diagram. Okay, now you say you do not have these three parts. All right, you have the motion from point O to point B, and the speed with which the body covered s1 is v1 and covered s2 is v2. Okay, now our situation is like we are considering s1 equal to s2. If s1 is equal to s2, you don't have that s3 distance. Okay, so if s1 equal to s3 equal to s, if s1 equal to s2 equal to s, then v bar will become 2 v1 v2 divided by v1 plus v2. Okay, so that is about your average speed relations. Now we can have a second situation where the time is given, time taken to cover OA is T1, AB is T2 and BC is T3, and these distances were covered with speeds v1, v2 and v3. Now distance is not given directly. Okay, so in that case your average speed can be calculated by using v1 t1, because distance is not given and distance s1 will be speed v1 into time t1, right? Accordingly, speed s2 will be v2 t2 and v3 t3 divided by t1 plus t2 plus t3. That is the total time. Okay, now you have a special situation where if t1 equals to t2 equals to t3 and that is equal to t, then v bar will be v1 plus v2 plus v3 divided by 3. Okay, second situation, if t1 equals to t2 equals to t, then v bar is equal to v1 plus v2 by 2. Okay, so this is just the arithmetic mean of the speeds. So we come to velocity next. Now velocity is a vector quantity, so unit is meter per second. All right, and dimension is lt minus 1. Now it is displacement divided by time. Okay, that is a relation, like v vector equal to s vector divided by t. Now direction of velocity is same as that of displacement. Okay, and as I told you before, like vector quantities can be positive, negative or zero. Now you can have a situation where you have uniform velocity, right? So in uniform velocity you define it as equal displacement in equal intervals of time. Then you can have, in practical situations, you have variable velocity. In variable velocity is equal interval in unequal intervals of time, or equal displacements in unequal interval of time, or unequal displacements in equal interval of time. So that is your variable velocity. Now body is said to be moving with variable velocity if there is a change in magnitude or direction or both. Okay, so if a body is moving in a straight line with a constant speed and it changes direction, that means the velocity has changed, because direction has changed, here magnitude has not changed. But if a body is speeding up, then slowing down, then speeding up, okay, and direction is not changing, here also the velocity is changing. And if both, like direction and speed, both are changing, then also the velocity is changing. Okay, so body moving in a circle, when a body moves in a circle, it moves with constant speed, but the velocity changes because the direction is changing at every moment. Okay, so this is that particular circle thing discussed over here. Now you have average velocity. So average velocity is total displacement divided by time taken. So that is what you call as average velocity. Okay. So now when the body moves with variable velocity, we have to calculate average velocity. So we can see the relation here for average velocity. Now in this situation, here in the diagram you can see that the body has covered x1 displacement. x1 is the displacement in time t1 and x2 is the displacement in time t2. Now since it is a straight line, so you can also call this as distance. It will not matter. Distance and displacement is same in case of a straight line. Okay. Now displacement. What is the displacement? Now it was in time t1 the distance covered is x1, in time t2 the distance covered is x2. Therefore displacement delta x equal to x2 minus x1 and time interval delta t equal to t2 minus t1, right? Therefore the average velocity relation is delta x by delta t. Alright, so that is x2 minus x1 divided by t2 minus t1. Next we have instantaneous velocity. So instantaneous velocity is now velocity of an object at a given instant. You call that as instantaneous velocity. What is the relation for that? Instantaneous velocity is v vector equal to limit delta t tends to 0 delta x divided by delta t. Okay, so in average we have used delta x. Okay, so this becomes dx by dt. Okay, so this is your relation for instantaneous velocity. Now after this we have acceleration. So what is acceleration? Acceleration is the rate of change in velocity. Okay, so change in velocity divided by time interval is your acceleration. So positive acceleration indicates increasing velocity, negative acceleration indicates deceleration. Okay, that means the velocity will decrease. It is also known as retardation. Now you have uniform acceleration. So in uniform acceleration, velocity changes by equal amount in equal interval of time. So freely falling body under gravity, it has uniform acceleration. Okay, this is an example of uniform acceleration. Non-uniform or variable acceleration. Now a body which has variable acceleration, now if the magnitude or direction or both changes, okay, then you call the body is having a variable acceleration. Now average acceleration is again change in velocity divided by time interval. Okay, so how do you write down the equation for average acceleration? A vector or a bar, since we are calculating average, delta v by delta t, that will be a relation for average acceleration. Okay, things are clear till here. Next we have instantaneous acceleration. So acceleration at a particular instant or at any moment, you call it as instantaneous acceleration. So a vector equal to limit delta t tends to 0 delta v by delta t, right? And that becomes dv by dt. So the derivative, time derivative of velocity gives you what? Gives you instantaneous acceleration. So what we have after this? Okay, so what is the topic after this? Okay, let's see the equations. Okay, so equations of motion. Equations so equations of motion, the first one, v equal to u plus at. Okay, v is final velocity, u is initial velocity, a is acceleration and t is time. Then you have s equal to ut plus half at square. Here s is the distance and uat is initial velocity, time and acceleration as before. Then you have v square minus c square equal to twice as. Then you have s equal to u plus v divided by 2 into t. Okay, distance equal to average of the velocity multiplied by time. And finally you have distance covered in nth second, which is u plus a by 2 twice n minus 1. Okay, distance covered in nth second. Now by calculus method we can see some very small mathematics that will help you in some questions. So by calculus method, now v equals to number 1, v equals to can be written as ds by dt, right, instantaneous velocity. Now here ds equal to v dt, right? So if you integrate v dt, what do you get? You get, or you can write down integral of ds, that is s, right? S is integral of ds and that is integral of v dt. So integral of velocity with respect to time will give you distance. Number 2, instantaneous acceleration is dv by dt, right? So you can write down dv equals to a dt. Therefore we can write down now if you integrate dv, what do you get? Integrating both sides. Okay, v equal to integral a dt. So that is number 2. Number 3, you have again acceleration equal to dv by dt. Now here this can be written as, look, dv can be written as ds by dt, doesn't it? And you can put dv by ds here. Now if you see, if you cancel this ds, then what remains is dv by dt. Okay, so we can write this, and ds by dt is giving you what? That is giving you v, velocity, right? So instantaneous velocity, v dv by dt. So this is the expression you get here. So a dt equals to v dv, right? So a dt equals to v dv. From here you get, did I make a mistake? Yes, it should be a ds. It should be a ds equals to v dv, and integral a ds equals to integral v dv. Okay, so what we have next, there should be a diagram here. Okay, so note, now for a body when u is 0, okay, for a body if u equal to 0, then ratio of the distances covered, that is s1 is to s2 is to s3. Okay, in time t1 is to t1, t2, t3, ratio of the distances covered will be equal to t1 square is to t2 square is to t3 square. This is a shortcut, you can memorize it. Now you see, now we have motion. Motion can be of constant velocity, which you call as uniform motion, or it can be accelerated motion. Now accelerated motion can be again uniform acceleration, it can be non-uniform acceleration as well. Okay, so when you have constant velocity, the relation for constant velocity is s by t. All right, now in case of uniform acceleration, uniformly accelerating body, okay, the equations are, this is just a recapitulation. Okay, the equations are v equal to u plus at, they are s equal to ut plus half at square, then you have v square equal to u square plus twice as, and snth equal to u plus a by 2 twice n minus 1, snth equal to u plus a by 2 twice n minus 1. Okay, now if it is a non-uniform motion, then these relations will come up, instantaneous velocity ds by dt and instantaneous acceleration dv by dt. Okay, now when you have displacement, say if you have displacement, if you differentiate it, you get velocity. If you differentiate velocity, you get acceleration. Now if you integrate acceleration, you get velocity. If you integrate velocity, you get displacement. Okay, now motion under gravity. Okay, how does the equation modify? Number one, body falling downward. Okay, body falling downward. So in that case, your acceleration, you will be considering it as positive g, and s will be considered as h in the equations of motion, and therefore your equations of motion will become v equal to u plus gt. It will become h equal to ut plus half gt square. Then you have v square equal to u square plus 2gh, and h nth equals to u plus g by 2 twice n minus 1. Okay, now while the body is falling downward, if u equal to 0, okay, if u equal to 0, when the body is falling downward, so in that case just put u equal to 0 in this previous sets of equation, and what you will get is v equal to gt, you will get h equal to half gt square, you will get v square equal to 2gh, and from here you get v equal to square root of 2gh, and h nth equals to g by 2 twice n minus 1. Now you have situation number 3. Now body is thrown upwards. Okay, body is thrown upwards. Now in that case, you will consider a as minus g. Okay, and s will be h only. So v becomes u minus gt, s becomes h, right? So h becomes ut minus half gt square, v square becomes u square minus twice gh, and h nth becomes u minus g by 2 twice n minus 1. So relation for maximum height attained by a body when you throw it upwards. Okay, when you throw a body upwards, look, whenever you throw a body upward, what happens? The body goes up, stays for a while, it comes to rest for a moment, and then it will start falling down again. Okay, initially it will go up, it will stop for a while, and then it will fall down. So here you have a couple of things, like firstly we have this maximum height attained. You can write on s max or you can write on h max, whichever. Okay, that is u square by 2g. Now time of ascent, this is time of ascent. Time of ascent is time taken by the body to reach the highest point, and that is equal to time of descent also. Okay, time taken by the body to fall down or to hit the ground from the highest point. So that relation is u by g. Now what is time of flight? Time of flight, so that is capital T, that is double of T, like the total time, or you can say time of flight is time of ascent plus time of descent, the total time the body took to return back to earth. Okay, so that is time of flight. And the last topic we have relative velocity. So say two bodies are going in the same direction, body A, body B. So if I ask you, like, what is the velocity of body A with respect to B? So velocity of A with respect to B, that will be VAB equals to VA minus VB. Similarly, if I ask you, like, velocity of body B with respect to A, that will be VBA equal to VB minus VA. Alright. Now this is the situation which happens in case of same direction, right? Now if the bodies are going in opposite direction, like we take one more situation. Say body A is going along the right only, okay, and body B is going along the left. So in this case, or we can put the arrow here, okay. So this is body B. So in this case, velocity of A with respect to B will be VA minus VB. Now these are all vector quantities, right? I did not put vector sign here. You can put vector sign. Let's put it. So V, now as I said you that vector quantities can be negative, which represents direction. So it is like VA minus VB. So finally it will become VA plus VB. Okay, similarly you can do it for VB with respect to A. If you want to calculate the velocity of body B with respect to A, then you can do it again. Now it depends, like which direction you want to take it as positive. Now if we take this left side as positive, then it will become like VA plus VB only, or VB plus VA. So VB we are taking it as positive, then VB minus VA. Okay, so this is like VA plus VB. Now if you sustain the negative sign with VB, then VBA can also be written as minus VB minus VB minus VA. Yes, we are considering VA as positive, right? So this will give you minus VB minus VA. Okay, so ultimately you are adding up only, but the final result will come out to be negative, right? What will that indicate? The negative result will only indicate that the vehicle is, or it will indicate the direction only, that the direction is towards the left. Okay, so I have given you both the representations. I hope you will be more comfortable with this. So close.